I didn't realize a 3-hour drive could feel like walking into a test I never signed up for. Not until we were halfway there, and I caught myself fixing the same strand of hair for the fourth time in the rearview mirror. "Babe, you good?" Daniel asked, eyes still on the road, voice easy like always. "Yeah," I said, but nah, I wasn't. Not even close. The city faded behind us slowly, concrete turning into open fields, tight streets stretching into long, empty roads. The kind of roads where everything feels quieter, but somehow louder inside your head. Lily sat in the back seat, headphones on, vibing like she didn't have a single worry in the world, mouthing lyrics, tapping her sneakers against the seat, completely unbothered. Man, I wish I had that kind of peace. "You know you don't have to prove anything today, right?" Daniel said, casually, like he was talking about the weather. I let out a small laugh. "Yeah, I know. But the truth? I didn't believe that for a second. Because Diane wasn't just family. She was the kind of person who made you feel like life itself had levels, and somehow you were always stuck on beginner mode. We pulled up to that long driveway a little after noon, and when I say long, I mean ridiculously long. Like you could have parked 3 houses on that driveway and still had space left over. "Dang," Lily whispered, pressing her face against the window. "Is this like a mansion?" "Something like that," I said. Truth is, it looked like one of those homes you see in magazines, the kind where everything is perfect, untouched, like nobody actually lives there. Daniel parked the car, and for a second, none of us moved. Then he reached over, squeezed my hand once, and said, "We got this." Simple, just like that. And somehow I believed him more than I believed myself. We stepped out. The air smelled like fresh-cut grass and money. Yeah, money got a smell. Don't let nobody tell you different. Music floated from the backyard. Soft laughter, glasses clinking. Everything looked like it had been planned down to the last detail. Lily grabbed my hand. Not tight, just enough, like she was checking if I was still there. "I like your dress," I whispered to her. She smiled. "I know." That confidence, right there, I held on to it. We walked around back, and boom, there it was. White tables, string lights, people dressed like they walked straight out of a catalog. Not loud, not flashy, just expensive in a quiet way. You ever been somewhere where nobody says anything mean, but you still feel judged? Yeah, that was the vibe. Diane spotted us almost immediately. Of course she did. She always had that radar. "Daniel," she said, walking over like she owned the entire atmosphere. They hugged. Then her eyes landed on me. And that smile? Man, it looked nice, but it didn't feel nice. "Nora," she said, "you made it." "We did," I replied. Then she looked at Lily. "And this must be your daughter. Not your niece, not Lily, just your daughter." Lily smiled anyway. "Hi." Diane tilted her head slightly. "Well, aren't you sweet?" That word again. Sweet. Not pretty, not beautiful. Sweet. Like something small, something harmless, something less. I felt it hit, but I swallowed it. Not today. Not in front of Lily. Diane led us to our table, way in the back, near the side door. You know, the one the staff kept going in and out of? The working side of the party. Yeah, that told me everything I needed to know. Daniel didn't react. He just pulled out my chair like nothing was wrong, like this was exactly where we were supposed to be. I sat down. Lily sat next to me, and for a minute, things were okay. Marcus came by. Thank God for Marcus. He hugged Daniel like he actually meant it,
crouch down to Lily's level, asking her about school like he genuinely cared. That kind of energy, you feel it instantly. And for a second, I relaxed. Maybe it wouldn't be that bad. Maybe I was overthinking it. Then Diane came back with her crew. You know the type. Perfect hair, perfect posture, perfect smiles that never quite reach their eyes. They sat down like the table belonged to them. "So, we were just talking about Westbridge," Diane said casually. I already knew where this was going. Private school talk. Always the same script, always the same tone. "And where does Lily go?" one of them asked. "Clearwater Elementary," I said. Small pause. Just enough to feel it. "Oh, that's nice," Diane said. There it was again. Nice. Another one of those words that sounds good, but ain't. Daniel jumped in smooth. "She loves it." Lily nodded, focused on her strawberries. Unbothered. Still safe. Then Diane's daughters walked over. Matching dresses, matching posture, matching everything. They stood there like little versions of the world they were raised in. Piper, youngest, looked at Lily, then at her dress, then said it, just like that. "My mom says that brand is from a regular store." Silence. Heavy. Sharp. I didn't look at Diane. I looked at Lily. Her hands stopped. The strawberry slipped off her fork. And in that tiny moment, I saw it. That feeling. That first crack. That question forming in her mind. Was I just not enough? Daniel set his glass down. Slow. Calm. Controlled. He looked at Piper first, then at Diane, and when he spoke, his voice wasn't loud, but it cut through everything. "I think you owe my daughter an apology." And just like that, everything changed.
There's something strange about how life goes quiet after a moment that should have been loud. No slammed doors, no dramatic fallout, no group chat exploding with opinions. Just quiet. The kind that makes you replay everything, not because you're confused anymore, but because you finally understand it. The next few weeks after that party didn't look different on the outside. Same mornings, same school runs, same grocery lists stuck to the fridge with that crooked magnet Lily insists is lucky. But something had shifted. Not in the world, in me, and in her. Lily didn't bring up the party right away. Kids don't always process things the moment they happen. They carry it, turn it over quietly, like a rock in their pocket. It showed up 3 days later. We were in the car, parked outside her school. She had her backpack on, one shoe half untied like always, staring out the window. "Mom? Yeah, baby?" She didn't look at me when she asked. "Are we regular?" That word again. Regular. I felt it not like a punch, but like something heavier, something slower. I turned slightly in my seat. "What do you mean?" She shrugged, still looking straight ahead. "Like, not fancy, not like them." I could have answered fast, could have said something light, brushed it off, but this was one of those moments, the kind that builds a person, so I didn't rush. I reached over and fixed her shoelace slowly, buying myself a second to think, not about the perfect answer, but the true one. I said finally, "We're real." That made her turn. "What's that mean?" "It means we don't pretend to be something we're not just to impress people who don't matter." She blinked. Processing. Kids always do. "But they were laughing," she said quietly. And there it was. Not the dress, not the school, the feeling. I nodded. Yeah, some people laugh when they don't understand things. Like what? Like kindness, like being enough without showing off. She was quiet again. Then she asked, "Am I enough?"
And that question, well, that one doesn't belong to a 9-year-old, but the world hands them to them anyway. I didn't hesitate this time. More than enough, I said. Not soft, not unsure, certain. The kind that doesn't leave room for doubt to sneak back in later. She studied my face like she was checking if I meant it. Then she nodded once. Okay. And just like that, she grabbed her backpack, opened the door, and hopped out, like the wait had somewhere else to be now. Kids are like that. They don't need perfection. They need truth delivered on time. Life kept moving, because it always does. Daniel went back to work like nothing dramatic had happened, but I noticed something. He was more present. Not in a loud, look at me being a great dad kind of way, just there. More conversations at dinner, more listening, more catching the small things before they turned into big ones. One night, about 2 weeks later, we were sitting on the couch after Lily went to bed. No TV, no phones, just the quiet hum of the house. You know, he said, leaning back, I used to think ignoring stuff like that made me the bigger person. I glanced at him. What changed? He exhaled slowly. Seeing her face. That was it. No long explanation, no big speech, just that. And honestly, it was enough. Marcus came over the following weekend, not for a party, not for a family obligation, just to sit. He brought takeout, wore jeans instead of whatever polished version of himself he usually carried into Diane's world. We ate at the kitchen table. Lily showed him her drawings. He told her one of them belonged in a museum, and she laughed like she didn't fully believe him, but wanted to. After she went to bed, Marcus stayed quiet for a while. Then he said, You guys did the right thing. Daniel didn't respond right away. He just nodded. Marcus looked at me. I'm sorry. For what? I asked. For not saying something sooner. For letting that kind of behavior feel normal. I shook my head. You don't control her. No, he said, but I tolerated it. There's a difference, and he knew it. We didn't stay on the topic long, because sometimes accountability doesn't need a full conversation. It just needs to be acknowledged. A month passed, then 2. The party faded into something less sharp. Not gone, but settled, like a scar that doesn't hurt unless you press it. Lily started school projects, made new friends, forgot to clean her room in increasingly creative ways. Life didn't become perfect, it became real again. And real, I realized, was better. Then one afternoon, something small happened, so small most people would miss it. We were at a store, yes, a regular one. Lily picked out a dress on her own. Bright yellow, a little bold, not something I would have chosen for her. She held it up and looked at me. What do you think? I smiled. Do you like it? She nodded. Then that's what matters. She didn't ask if it was expensive, didn't ask if it was nice enough, didn't ask if someone else would approve. She just said, okay, and walked to the register. Confident, easy, like the question had already been answered weeks before. That night, as I folded laundry, I thought about that moment. Not the dress, the choice, the freedom in it. And I realized something I hadn't fully put into words before. We didn't just leave that party early. We left a mindset behind. The one that says your value depends on who's watching. The one that makes you shrink just to fit someone else's idea of enough. We didn't need that, and neither did she. Sometimes people think the big moments are the ones that define you. The arguments, the confrontations, the dramatic exits. But they're wrong. It's the quiet follow-ups that matter more. The car conversations, the kitchen talks, the way you show up the next day like nothing broke, because nothing actually did. I still think about that table sometimes, the one near the kitchen door, the one that was meant to say something without saying it. And I realize now, they gave us that table thinking it was the edge of the room, but it wasn't. It was the exit, and we took it. If you've ever sat in a place where you felt small, If you've ever watched someone you love get measured by standards that don't deserve them, if you've ever wondered whether you're enough in a world that keeps moving the line, listen carefully. You don't need a better table. You don't need a different invitation. You don't need approval from people who only understand value in labels and price tags. What you need is that moment, that voice, that steady, undeniable truth spoken at exactly the right time. You are enough, and not the soft version, the real one, the kind that sticks, the kind that a 9-year-old carries into every room she walks into for the rest of her life. Because at the end of the day, the dress can come from anywhere, the house can look like anything, the table can be placed wherever someone decides, but the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you protect the people you love, that's not something anyone can take, buy, or downgrade. And once you know that, you stop trying to belong in rooms that were never built for you. You build your own. And trust me, that's where the real story begins.